Hey everybody, in this video we're going to learn about for loops, but more specifically for I in range loops. And we're going to learn about this using lists, because for loops go with lists like peanut butter goes with jelly. So for this first part we have menu items, and we have 4 items on our menu, and then we have the 4 prices to go with them. So burger and $1.59 and fries and $2.79 go together. So these are technically considered parallel lists because of that relationship. And if we want to print out all the items from menu items, we could just do print menu items like this. And if we run it, this is what we get right here. We get burger, fries, ribs, and baked potato. We don't want this to look like this when we're printing it for the user. Like, it's okay when we're like testing things out, when we're like debugging things. But if we want to do something a little bit more production ready, like actual like a product that goes out, we probably don't want it to look like that. So we can use for loops instead to make it look a lot nicer. So the first one, we're going to go ahead and print out the first 3 items. So this would be index 0, index 1, and index 2 are the first 3 items. So for this one, since we're starting at index 0, we just need to put the end index. Now the end index is the index not of the last one that we're going to print, but the one beyond that. So since we want to print and go all the way to the 2 index, we need to put a 3 here. And then we're going to go ahead and do a print. We'll do an F string, and we'll just do menu items, and then we're going to do bracket. So we're going to get it from the menu items list, and then we're going to do an I right here. So the first time through the loop, I is going to have a value of 0. So it's going to put a 0 here. It's going to go to menu items, grab index 0, which is burger, and it's going to print it. After all the code inside of the for loop is done, it's going to come back up to the top. It's going to increment I again. So now I is going to have a value of 1, which is fries, and then so on. Now if we go ahead and run this, we get burger, fries, and ribs, which are the first 3 items. So woohoo! Now let's go ahead and print all the items. So now instead of a 3, we could just do a 4. But a lot of the times we don't know how long our lists are. So we can't always do a 4 because we're going to get our data from like a database. We don't know how many items are in our database. We could be entering like racers into a race and they all haven't shown up yet. So we just don't know all the time. So we're going to use a function called len, and we're going to pass into it the length of our menu. And then let's go ahead and run that. And now we get burger, fries, ribs, and baked potato. So it did print all of them. Let's go ahead and do menu items dot append, and let's just add rice here. And then let's go ahead and print it out again. Then we're going to run it, and we're going to make it look nice. And then as you can see, now all 5 items are being printed. I'm going to get rid of that for now. Let's get rid of all this for now. All right, next one. We're going to work with a little medium. Last one was a little mild. This one, we're just going to print the last 2 items, and we're going to do it in a Pythonic way, which means we're going to use a negative index. A lot of languages don't have negative indexes, but Python does. So let's use it. So the last 2 items are ribs and baked potato. So again, this is index 0, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to go backwards. So we're going to go 0, -1, -2. So we want to start at an index of -2. And then let's just see what that does. Nothing. So we should probably put in the ending index. And the ending index would be -2, -1, but we need to go past -1 all the way back to 0. That way it'll print the -1 index and the -2 index. So let's put a 0 here. And now we get ribs and baked potato. Ribs and baked potato. Done. All right, next one. Got a little spicy. This one, let's go ahead and print every other item. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and start it at an index of 0. And since we want to count by 2, which we haven't done in any of the ones, those automatically counted by 1. But for this one, since we want to count by 2, we need 3 parameters: a start, an end, and a count by. So if we go ahead and run this one, now we get burger and ribs. So we get burger, which is the index 0, and ribs, which is the index 2. If we go ahead and append rice again, then it should be burger, ribs, and rice. And sure enough, burger, ribs, and rice. Let's put that back for this last one. Now, let's go ahead and do this a little bit different way. And we're going to go ahead and do it one way with modulus. So let me copy this, put this down here. So instead of going ahead and using counting by, we're going to get rid of this part. So we're still going to start at the beginning and go to the end. But since we're starting at index 0, we can actually simplify it all the way down to this, just putting the ending value. Now, if we're going to use modulus, we need to have an if statement. So if the I value mod 2, if that equals 0, we talked about this in a previous video, that if we go ahead and take a number and divide it by 2, and we have a 0 remainder, that means it's an even. And then we're just going to tab that inside of it. Then if we rerun this, we get the same thing, burger, ribs, rice, and burger, ribs, and rice. So there we go. So we learned how to use all 3 parameters to print items from a list using a for loop. And we did it going backwards, like the last 2 items using a negative index. And then we learned how to print just the first so many items, and then using len when we want to get to the end of the list. You guys are able to go through a list using for I in range. Pretty nice. But there's a better way right there. Or if you guys want to go back, you guys can take a look at for I in range with just numbers right over here. All right, take care, everybody.